Welcome to the Stokastic No House Advantage NBA show for the 4-game Thursday night post-trade deadline slate. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. This show is produced by Jordan Klein. You can find him on Twitter at Jordan Klein. And we are joined today, as always, by DFS legend Terry McBride, who you can find on Twitter at DigitalB21. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. I'm sure if you've seen any of our content this week, you know that we now have our first sports-specific channel as well. We've got the ODDSSHOPPER golf channel released this week, so make sure you check that out if you haven't already subscribed to that channel as well. If you haven't already signed up for Noah's Advantage, you can use promo code Stokastic to take advantage of our first match deposit bonus up to $100. Terry, how you doing today?
Doing pretty well. It's been an exciting day. A lot of action in the NBA trades market, both this afternoon and overnight last night. Definitely nobody can complain about a boring deadline this year, I don't think, with all kinds of stuff going on. Who even knew there were this many second round picks available in the league to be dealt like we saw today? But yeah, it was a fun one. So things are good. Now I'm excited to now kind of absorb all that, try and process it through it as we're talking through this slate, and then see how it comes out the other side with the impact for these 4 games. And then I think it's just going to be really interesting impact across the NBA as a whole, going forward.
For sure. Yeah. I am upset. So as I told you, I was just recording High Stakes right before I got on here.
Right.
And while I'm recording, I get a text message from one of my friends who is usually pretty reliable. He texts me, Pat Bev is coming back to Minnesota. So that helps, which of course, as a Timberwolves fan, that's all I want. I want Pat Bev, like that would be so exciting to have Patrick Beverly back. So I texted another group of my Timberwolves fan friends and said, can you confirm this Pat Bev coming back to Minnesota? And now I'm hearing that it's like there's a chance that he could get bought out. He's probably going to get bought out,
like a buyout thing.
And then there's some chance that that we get Pat Bev. And I'm like, what? You basically just told me that he's coming back, and now it's like, yeah, we have some slight chance of getting Pat Bev back. So not too happy with that friend right now.
I think Sixers fans are chasing a report like that too. There was another one that was if Danny Green gets bought out, he'll probably come back and re-sign back in Philly. So they've got like their hopes up for that. But yeah, I could see the Pat Bev thing. That'd be an interesting pair of additions with Conley and Pat Bev, at least.
Absolutely.
That's
I would like
at least
that quite a bit.
Yeah, some veterans, some defensive know-how, all that good stuff. Some premium pedigree there. So I don't dislike that if they can pull that.
Oh, I would love it if they get Pat Bev back. Just a cultural leader there. So Noah's Advantage, back to Noah's Advantage. It does offer 2 types of contests. And if you'd rather just play against the house, you can do that. If you hit all of your picks, you can net up to 20 extra entry fee. Terry, have you checked out the versus the house competition for the Super Bowl yet?
I have not. I'm not. Unfortunately, I get on to No House when we do all these shows, and I get to get all into it and check out all the picks and everything. But I don't get to sit here and like scroll through a lot of their contests, see what's available, because I live in New Jersey. Unfortunately, no, I'm happy I live in New Jersey, but it's unfortunate with the restrictions.
Is anybody happy they live in New Jersey? Come on.
I tell you what, everybody who lives in New Jersey is happy that they live in New Jersey. Neil, it's one of the best kept secrets in the country. Everybody else, we cultivate this image of like it's dirty, everybody's an asshole, nobody wants to live here. Which is just to keep everybody else away. That's all. Okay. That's what it is.
Well, the reason I bring up the Super Bowl versus the house competition is they do have a freebie pick. We'll see what you think of this pick. So they've got Patrick Mahomes passing yards prop at 1,000.5 passing yards. Are you inclined to take the over or the under there, Terry?
I think he's going to at least double that, right?
Okay, so you got to take the over. That's a freebie pick. Over 1,000 passing yards. No,
and I'll be here on Sunday morning for the NHA Super Bowl show.
Yeah, right.
First, that's going to be leading off our coverage. I think at 1:00 on Sunday. That is actually a plug. We actually will have that. Right I think it's an NHA show. I hope it's not prize pay.
Okay, well, if you're going to play
one of those 2 companies is sponsoring the show, but yes, you do want to go chase that under on that Patrick Mahomes 1,000-yarder there. Yeah, that's a free
Super Bowl versus the house. Yeah, free pick. That's obviously great for your EV taking a freebie pick like that. So check out the versus the house competition for the Super Bowl. But what we're primarily going to be talking about here are the pick'em contests, the NBA pick'em contest specifically for today's slate. NHA is offering a few different pick'em contests tonight, and they're doing us a favor as usual. Recently, they're intentionally creating some contests that are likely to have some overlay. I'm not sure exactly how long we can count on this kind of thing. It's not something that we have very often in this space, so would highly recommend signing up for Noah's Advantage if you haven't already. Check out these pick'em contests that are going to have some overlay. They have a few different contest options today. The biggest is the $10 buy-in slam dunk contest. The contest allows for up to 1,200 entries, but even if it doesn't fill, the prize pool is guaranteed. So they will pay out regardless of whether the contest fills. The top prize is $5,000. If you're not familiar with No Advantage Pick'em contest, it's pretty simple. They post a bunch of static prop lines for different players. You choose 10 of those lines. You take the over or the under on each. You rank them in order of your confidence. Your highest confidence pick gets the most points. Your lowest confident gets the fewest points, et cetera, et cetera. And then your team or teams are, you're playing against the field. Whoever has the most points wins the contest, similar to DFS. If you're not sure who to pick, we've got Terry here to help us give some of his favorite picks for today.
That's similar to how most contests work, really. The most points wins. That should be familiar to everybody.
It makes sense. Yeah, something that people probably understand. Terry, what are you doing? So you want to start talking some overs, some unders today?
Let's see. Let's look at the board. It looks like I think our two high points are both unders. For some reason, my Excel is giving me some slowdown when I'm trying to flip these columns and sort back and forth. We'll deal with it as we go through. But since I am sorted for the unders right now, why don't we talk about those up at the top of the board? We've got Brook Lopez on the rebounds, 8.5 rebounding line with a 5.98 projection. So we're projecting him 2.5 rebounds below what that number's at. That's right around what he averages. He averages 6.4. We're projecting him for like 3 minutes under the standard playing time tonight. We've got him about 28 minutes. So call it 2 minutes under. It's shaving a little bit off the rebounding projection, but only a 9.6% rebounder for the season. Not the biggest number in the world anyway. 7.6 rebounds per 36. I think we're pretty comfortable saying that he's not going to play 36 minutes. He's pretty unlikely to grab 8.5 rebounds. It is a counting stat, so it is one of those ones where, hey, he could luck into a couple additional rebounds just through happenstance, the way the ball bounces off the rim during the game. But on the average, if we're chasing these numbers, that is our highest probability, 85% top of the board there on the unders. So I like that one quite a bit.
It's kind of crazy. Right? He's 7 feet tall and he just does not rebound all that well. We haven't projected for 6 rebounds tonight. Brook Lopez he seems like a guy should be getting like 12, 13 tonight. But I think that he's also one who he actually boxes people out, but then just doesn't go after the rebound himself. He does it kind of
creates. Yeah, he's more of a space creator. Yeah, you can see that with when he's playing. He's a good player overall. I do like watching Brook play, and but that's never been his the strongest part of his game by any means. So yeah, it seems like one we can chase. And then speaking of another guy who you can just go after something that's not necessarily his strongest suit, KCP. He's a okay rebounder, I guess, from time to time. 5% rebounder though overall. So as a guard, you're chasing a 4.5 rebounding prop here for KCP. We've got him projected at 3. We saw some moving parts with this Denver team, but I don't think anything that's going to really impact the playing time. We've already got him projected for 31 minutes. That's right on his playing time average. So I think this one's pretty clear of what he does on the average anyway. Not a particularly strong suit of his. So I think you're pretty strong going to that one. That's our only other above 80% one. That's one sitting at 81.2%. KCP on the under for his rebound. So I think you can go after that one pretty strongly there as well.
Yeah, it seems like definitely a strong one as well. I'm scrolling through just the NBA news to make sure that there isn't anything impactful to these picks because as I said, I just got off another show. So there's been a lot of stuff going, a lot of action while I've been on another show trying to figure out exactly where we're at. Looks like nothing.
Yeah, and as I'm talking about, I'm trying to remember them, in my head. I just watched Josh for 2 hours doing his awesome trade deadline show.
Oh, yeah.
I've, of course, been following on Twitter and everything all along. Yeah. Yeah, he does a killer job just analyzing. He was guessing a lot of these trades. Like he's, you get that like half report, like so-and-so is moving from this team to that team without the for what. And he was just like, oh yeah, it's probably for this because there's the tax implications and bang, bang, bang. And then 10 seconds later it would drop. It's impressive shit to watch. He knows this league like nobody else.
Yeah, that has never been my strong suit. Anticipating, like understanding the cap situations and like who can be traded and that kind of stuff.
I've had better years with it. Like going back a few years, I was a little bit deeper on stuff like that, and I could sit there and have better conversations about it. And I'm much more surface level because I'm just so much more like DFS focused than the ins and the outs of the mechanics of it these days. So yeah, I'm a bit removed from that myself. That's why I was just sitting there kind of in awe of it. Like, holy shit, he's good at this.
Yeah. I do want to talk about this LeBron James prop just because I want to start here. Do you think LeBron plays tonight? I mean, if you watched his interview after the record-breaking, the scoring champion night, he was basically saying that he was going to get super drunk, and I was like, he might not be playing their next game.
It sure didn't seem like he was planning on playing anytime like the rest of the week.
Yeah,
he was just kind of checking out
forever. He's been questionable for forever. So now it's like, okay, is this a real questionable now though? Is this like a hangover questionable, or did he just get drunk that one night? Is he still? I mean, he's a little bit long in the tooth. So I don't know if he can recover in 2 days. What do you think?
Well, that's right.
LeBron?
Yeah, once you get up above like 35, those hangovers tend to trickle into day 2 there. But you could always, go replace the dirty oil with some others and just keep it going. But that's not going to lead to good basketball. So I doubt that's what LeBron's doing. Either way, yeah, I'd consider it a little bit more of a legit Q tag, I think. But ultimately, my approach to him is until we actually get the news that he's not going, I do typically tend to assume that he is going to go. We've got him projected that way right now. It's looking like a strong under either way. We've got him projected for his standard 36.6 minutes tonight. 3-pointers wise, he's taking 7 a game. He's only making 2.2. Like if we want to pick nits with LeBron's game, 31.5% from 3 this year, maybe that's something that we can attack on a guy who's just the best player of all time, probably. But it's not necessarily the thing he does well. And it's a big number at 3.5. We've got him projected for 2.4, slightly below his average. I think that one's pretty comfy. And, if you think of it in terms of them having some different parts out there, I don't see that really impacting this. I think we can just chase that line kind of as is, just the one factor being whether or not he actually plays tonight.
Okay. So given that factor and that this is the last game of the night, would you take this bet, or do you have enough concern about the Q tag that maybe, you leave the bet off the board just because, you don't get credit for it, right? You lose the bet if he doesn't play. Or am I wrong about that?
If memory serves, I think we found out that you can swap these until the game actually starts. All right. I believe so. Somebody out there can probably confirm that, who's able to actually get on and play on the site. I also do feel like, with LeBron, we tend to get the news with him like fairly early on in the evening, not necessarily always before lock, but I do feel like we do tend to get news on him like ahead of LeBron's going to play, that kind of thing. Maybe that's a product of it usually being bullshit reporting and a bullshit Q tag. So who knows, but I just feel like we'll find out fairly early on. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. And then, obviously the best way to make that decision is find out if you can swap it if you play it, right?
Yeah.
If you can swap it,
that's a good call.
Play it with no qualms. If not, then make your own decision there.
I like that. Yeah. I figured we had to talk about it since it is one of our top bets on the entire board for the unders. What about any of these other? I mean, I assume that we're not going to have Kevin Durant there for the Suns just yet. How do you feel about this Chris Paul 5.5 rebounds line?
Yeah, that one, I was looking at that one as we were starting up the show. It's sitting at 76%. It feels a little bit more thin. I mean, I trust our numbers. I trust the math and everything. And it's certainly below his average, but he averages 4.3 rebounds a game. He's a 6.7% rebounder. And per 36 cents, that's at 4.8. So, I mean, we're within a rebound. We're within some happenstance. We're within one weird bounce of getting to that line. So I don't love it. It's there. You could certainly play it, but I think there's probably other ones that I would feel more comfy chasing, even ones that like by the numbers are maybe below it. We already talked about KCP on the rebounds. I think KCP on the PRA is just as strong. 20.5 on the PRA, or 20.5 on the PRA rather. We've got him 16.02 projection. There's a decent amount of room on that. That one's at 75%, immediately below the Chris Paul one. Immediately above it, the Brook Lopez PRA is also strong. We talked about his rebounds, similar kind of idea. It's a 25.5 PRA, just kind of a big line for me. Averages at 21.9. Like we talked about, we're carving 3 minutes off the top of them. So I think there's plenty of room there. And then we've got a couple other guys on these threes: Cole Anthony, Aaron Gordon, and once again, KCP, 1.5, 1.5, and 2.5. Actually, let's skip the KCP one. We'll talk about Cole Anthony, Aaron Gordon, and Mo Wagner. All of those guys, 1.5. Each of those guys is projected for less than 1 3-pointer made. Each of those guys takes, Cole Anthony takes 3.3 a game. Aaron Gordon takes 2.5 a game, and Mo Wagner takes 3.1 a game. They shoot 33%, 39% for Gordon, which is good, obviously, and 31% respectively. So I just think you're taking guys who, two guys who are not the best 3-point shooters and don't have a lot of volume, make around 1 a game, and you're asking him to go out there and make 2. I'm pretty comfy in that with Cole Anthony and Mo Wagner. I do think, Aaron Gordon, a better 3-point shooter, but the volume's just not there. He's shooting 40%, but he's only taking 2.5 a game. So you basically ask him to go out there and make both his threes that he takes in the game, or go 2 for 3. So I kind of like all 3 of those. I think if I was ranking them though, I would slide the Wagner one up above the Aaron Gordon one. Just, why not take the guy who's a worse 3-point shooter?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense to me, but all look like good bets. We did get confirmation. So Tyler Shouston, apologies, Tyler, if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong, says you can late swap. If they are ruled out, it doesn't count. If they aren't officially ruled out before the game starts, it will count. So that's how those props work for those later night games. W German says
Tyler Shoust.
Tyler Shoust. Yeah.
Shoust. Yeah.
Maybe you can confirm.
That's a unique one. Yeah. I've not come across that exact spelling before.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Interesting.
I
just had to jump over there and check it out since
since I couldn't pronounce it, you were like, maybe
I wanted to see if see what it was.
Oh, he says that doesn't really help me that much, Tyler.
Can you
Schwezer?
Tyler
Schwezer.
Okay. I was gonna say, that art really tripped me up.
Yeah. Thank you, Tyler, for that. Tyler
Schwest.
I'll try and remember that. W German says Josh Hart trade 8 minutes into the late game ruined a great looking night for me. It was before the last game started. However, I had just gone out to my hot tub. I was like, okay, I've already locked in all my value. The only players I have left in these last 2 games are like the super expensive players. So like I would know by now that none of them are questionable. I think I'm safe. The only thing that could affect me is if one of them gets traded right here, and right boom. Now, and then boom, right after I left Josh Hart. So I also had a few Josh Hart lineups that were that.
So as we all know, you live in Minnesota. So is this like an outdoor hot tub? Like you say, I go out to my hot tub. Yep. So I'm picturing like a little oasis, like in the middle of like 3 feet of snow everywhere, Correct. Just carved out, steam coming up everywhere. You go padding out in your in your robe and everything. Is this a nightly tradition after lock, basically at some point around there?
It's like a weekly tradition, really.
It
should be multiple times a week, but really it's just more like once a week kind of a thing.
Nice.
I love the hot tub. It's one of my high school friends had a hot tub, and we would go out there in the winter and like do snow angels and then run into the hot tub, and have not yet done that in my backyard. I don't think I will because I have a dog and there's just dog poop and pee all over in the snow. So
you don't want to be doing the snow angels in yellow.
Little
changes the enjoyment a little.
And then Robbie Gravino asked, will the Nuggets beat the brakes off the Magic tonight? Will Jokic even see the fourth? And I think that is a valid question. The Magic even a little bit thinner. They just traded Mo Bamba. They're going to be going a little bit thin tonight. So that is, something that we're going to have to think about. It could be a bit of a blowout there, but hard.
Definitely one to consider. I'm not one to really sweat blowout concerns or anything like that. But you see a matchup like that, you think about a player like Jokic, and more specifically for our DFS needs, when we're spending so much on a one shot at center, or as so much on a big player on the DK where you can play multiple centers, that does get a little bit concerning if we lose half of his fourth quarter or something like that. So that is kind of on my radar tonight. I do think they completely wax the Magic here and just run away with it. Would have liked to have seen them get a little bit more help out there. I was hoping they would come up with like an OG Anunoby, somebody like that can, maybe D up on a Kevin Durant during a 7-game series. But it'll be interesting. I think the West is going to be a war too. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But that one, and that leads us to a under that's sitting on the board there. That Wendell Carter Jr. We skipped over that one, 10.5 rebounds. I was thinking maybe, there's a little bit of thought of like, the Mo Bamba not being there now, creating some space and some time for him, but it looks like a fairly strong one, 80%. And we've got him basically almost 2.5 rebounds below what that line is. So I think that one's fairly strong. That's around the projections, right around the average, all the things that we normally touch on. So just to tie that conversation into one of these picks here.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows? Maybe the odds go down a little bit. I don't know if Wendell Carter is going to see a little bit more run with no Mo Bamba there backing him up. We'll have to. They still got Wagner still there, so maybe it's just Wagner picks up some extra minutes. I guess we'll have to wait and see if that plays up. But we've got a pretty decent spread there, so it seems like even with those extra minutes, we'd probably prefer the under there. And also, going back to that, speaking of the Nuggets line, if you are concerned about the blowout, we already like the Aaron Gordon under on the 3-pointers made. Maybe that's one more little nugget there, one more cookie for the Aaron Gordon under in the 3-pointers.
I see what you did there. One more little nugget to throw into the conversation here. I see what you did there. Well, we had the Aaron Gordon, and we had several of these KCP ones. Right. So I think there's upside to be had for all of those. And maybe you tie some of those together for some correlation, tie it together with the Wendell Carter one there, and you're off and running with a solid handful of picks.
We've got
that's right. Nice Cole Anthony was another one of those 3-pointer ones. So we've got a solid number of picks coming from that game. And I know it's only a 4-game slate, but that's a good number of our highly probable unders are coming out of that game.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the over side of it. We're getting kind of late in the show. We've been just covering unders so far. Franz Wagner, looking at this line, the line is 13.5. We could see Franz, maybe, I guess I don't know if Mo Wagner really affects Franz. If Mo Bamba affects Franz Wagner as much as Mo Wagner, but maybe it's an extra little cookie. I don't know. Either way, the line is just too low, right? This 13.5 line for Franz.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to pull up his scoring, because we saw this line dip down into this territory earlier in the season, like a month or so ago. And it was a line that was like this, where it was cast just 5 or so points below what he was averaging. And it's similar numbers, it was maybe 12.5 against around 18 on the projections. So I was pulling up his box score to see if anything had changed recently. And he's missed it twice in the last month or so. Twice recently. Both times he played. One time he only played 22 minutes. The other time he played a full game, 34 minutes, and just happened to only have a 9-point night. But you're going to get the clunker every now and then. At 13.5, this one just seems like a layup. I mean, he has not missed this all that many times in the last couple of months at this point. So a guy for the season, we're talking about a 19.4 point per game average. We've got him projected to play 32.9. He plays 33.1 a night for the season. Seems like we're clearing this one pretty frequently here. So we've got it at 74.6% to go over. Feels like a little bit stronger than that. We talk about that, and I never am disagreeing with our numbers in reality here, but it's just one of those ones, like, I have a little bit more faith in it than that 74.6% by the numbers might suggest that it's got, if that makes sense.
Yeah. 3 and 4 seems low for something that he just seems to hit pretty much all the time.
With more frequency than that.
Yeah, I think I like that one quite a bit as well. We talked about the Nuggets game. I mean, are you going to be scared away from taking the over on 8.5 assists for Nikola Jokic with the possibility of a blowout there for the Nuggets game, or is that something you're not really factoring in here?
No, Jokic could be trying to throw this game and accidentally get himself to 8.5 assists. So I think we're fine there. Dude's just absurd. 42.6% assist rate. That is probably higher than everybody on the board, point guards included, I would guess. His number usually is right in that range. Sometimes you get somebody who's slightly ahead of him, but he is a point guard in a center's body. Absolutely fine with taking that one. Even with blowout concerns, we're probably getting there in 3/4. Averages 10.2 a game, basically plays 36 minutes a night anyway. In a per 36 net, though, it is directly on 11. So strong assists numbers there for Jokic. I have no issues going to that one at 8.5. It's too low.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm looking at this Rui Hachimura rebounds, and I'm wondering, do we think that there's any chance that Anthony Davis is? I thought he was maybe going to get traded. Did you see the Anthony Davis reaction to LeBron?
I did. Yeah, or the non-reaction or whatever.
The non-reaction was the weirdest thing ever. And I was thinking,
very strange.
Is AD going to be traded? Which would have been bizarre if he was being traded. I don't know. Is there a chance that AD sits tonight?
That was one that was kicking around like a little bit. People were saying like maybe Chicago, because he's a Chicago guy and they had always been in on him in years past and everything. And there were a couple pieces where I think the contracts would have balanced and it would have been interesting, but we didn't see it happening. I assume if he's not actually injured or banged up or dealing with, an AD tummy ache or whatever, drives him to the locker room half the time. Yeah. I think we're probably okay. He's listed probable despite a stress injury in his right foot, which just means like, I don't know, he's stressed and his right foot has an ouchie. Who knows? I have to think, given the probable tag, that we'll expect to see him here though. So no real issues there. I do think, just a 3.5 line for Rui there on the rebounds though. That's fairly strong anyway. He's an 8.8% rebounder, not the greatest rebounder in the world, but that has led to a 4.6 rebound average. That's putting us over on the average. It's, putting him into that situation where he's going to be playing with AD and those some other stout rebounders. It's maybe not the greatest one to chase. Like, I do think there's other ones here that you could use. Maybe you grab the Jamal Murray points over and correlate it with that Jokic assists. That kind of makes sense to me. But I do think that Rui one at worst is usable at 69%.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's usable. Just like we're assuming here that both LeBron and AD are in, and we like the over hitting 69%. That's pretty nice, right. 69% of the time. But then you add in the possibility of either AD or LeBron. And we, as you said, AD is probable. He's probably playing in this game. Maybe we don't want to factor in the narrative too much of the what the hell was going on there. But then, LeBron, I think he's questionable with a hangover. Robbie Gravino says, if I remember correctly, LeBron was limping after the game. I don't remember seeing him limping, but I also turned it off after a little while. I paid attention. I was there for the ceremony, stayed after the game, like listening, watching for a little bit. I don't recall LeBron limping, but if he was, that's just one more. You add in the hangover.
There was something. Yeah, he was dealing with an ankle and took off his shoe at one point or something like that, and people were making a big deal out of it. But he's fine. The worst thing I'm worried about with LeBron is just a hangover and just skipping this one. But it's also a game against the Bucks. Like, I don't necessarily think he goes out and just decides to take this one off. So I would expect we see him out there. But it is, with that in mind, it is the Lakers did make 2 or 3 different trades. So there are some missing bodies from this team. So it is definitely a situation where just via trickle down, regardless of position in a world of positionless basketball and just a lack of bodies, Rui could also just see a few additional minutes, which would lead us to some more upside in that over.
Yeah. And they traded Thomas Bryant, which should, you'd think Rui is more likely to be playing. Maybe he'll play some center minutes. I don't know. Does Rui ever play center minutes? Seems more like a small forward, power forward, but I guess he
but I think small, you slide AD over, play him next to AD in the 4, and then play like a small 3 or something like that. And,
so either way, there are definitely more opportunities for Rui here, even if both AD and LeBron play, and maybe there's at least some chance, increased chance that LeBron and or AD are out for this one, in which case this Rui is going to be a smash play. Marty McFly says this got to be one of the best trade deadlines. I agree. This was a really exciting trade deadline, except for the fact that literally everybody came west, right? I mean, it seemed like every Western Conference team just got really strong. And as a Timberwolves fan, I hate it. I mean, I like our trade just fine. I don't feel that strongly about it, to be honest, one way or the other. The trade of D'Lo for Mike Conley. We got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's still relatively young. I think he was a first round pick. He's at least shown some promise. So that's kind of cool. Like, add another young guy who maybe has a little bit of promise.
Guy can knock down some threes for you at the very least. But yeah, I think that's an interesting trade in that it's like a stabilizing trade for them, right? You're probably getting more for that specific team from Conley than you would have gotten from D'Lo, and that's the primary piece of it. They were talking about it on the show this morning too. That he's got chemistry with Gobert and all of that, and just a veteran dude who can make some stuff work. And then, like you were saying before, I think if they could swing that idea of bringing Pat back there, that would solidify that kind of concept. So it makes a lot of sense in my head that they would try and make that happen just based on what it looks like they're trying to do. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be a middle of the road Western Conference team today, because those teams are loaded now. I do like my Knicks move, bringing Josh Hart east. I think that's a nice, mid-range move. It's not going to win them a title, but maybe it advances them around further than they would have gone in the playoffs. Road's a little bit clear, at least in the East. There's a couple really good teams, but I think they're right there with some of the mid-range teams. So that'll be at least make for an enjoyable run. And I like that the Knicks didn't go crazy and blow up the young core for Zach LaVine or a DeRozan or somebody like that. So I'm good with it. And, fun deadline day though.
Yeah. Well, Terry, we got an NHL show coming up, so I think we got to close the show. Are there any others that do you need to throw any out, or are we good to close it out? Start the NHL show.
I do think you could take either one of the Chris Paul or DeAndre Ayton points props off the board there. 14.5 points for Chris Paul, 20.5 for DeAndre Ayton, just on the idea that somebody's going to have to score the basketball for Phoenix tonight, and there's a shortage of bodies out there. So either one of those is kind of on the board. They're in the mid 60s percentage-wise.
Yep. Great calls as well. Well, there you have it. Some of our favorite picks. If you want even more picks from the Stokastic team, you can find all of our favorite picks and even our favorite lineups by going to stokastic.com, the NBA drop-down, free NBA DFS data, no house advantage option, and you'll find our no house advantage projections and optimal lineups for these contests. Reminder, if you haven't already, please do like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got an NHL show coming up, and then we've got NBA Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock later tonight. So stick around the channel. Thanks for watching, guys.